Hello and welcome. Today, we're going to connect our WhatsApp chatbot with the local SQL DB. This is one of the requirements that came from one of our subscribers, and today we'll implement that. So, what I'm going to get started with, I'll create a new .NET Web API project, that is ASP.NET Core Web API. I'm going to name this as WhatsApp DB bot. And next. Authentication type, let's keep it as none. Then use controllers, enable OpenAI support, OpenAPI support, next. I'm going to make use of our last implementation where we connected WhatsApp with the GPT-4 API. So this time, instead of GPT-4 API, we'll be connecting it to Local SQL DB. So before that, let me just remove the weather forecast controller and weather forecast model class. Okay, now let me create a new controller. This will be an API controller, empty. I'm going to name this as WhatsApp controller. This is the same steps that we have done in our last video with regard to WhatsApp chatbot. And I already have that project opened. I'm going to implement the exact same things. That is, first of all, WhatsApp controller. Copy paste everything and paste it here. This will be WhatsApp DB bot. And let me increase the font size to 125%. Now let me install few of the dependencies. Newtons of JSON. Okay. Next, let's implement a service that is iStorage helper and storage helper. But this time we'll be just calling our database. I believe that is not required. Yeah, that's not required. Okay, let's focus on our DB and let's get rid of this storage helper. iStorage helper. As you all know, this is the message that we receive, that is incoming message text. This is a message that we got from WhatsApp. And we're going to get rid of all of these. And for sending the response, we are going to make use of this. That is what is my message. And this is the place how I set up my message, and this is the place how I send it. So what I'm going to do, just copy paste this from there to here. Okay. And now I can just get rid of GPT responses. Okay. And here, this will be calling our DB method where we get the response from database. Okay. And let's get rid of this completely. And also let me remove the methods which are not required, such as GPT response. Okay, that's the only thing that was not required. Perfect. For now, let me initialize this with string.empty, or better, hello world. Let me go back to app settings.development and let us initialize some configuration properties. For that, let me copy it from here. The one that we'll be reusing is Meta Developer API token. And let's copy paste here. Okay. And next we need connection string. And I'm going to name this connection string property as WhatsApp DB. Okay. And let's not set up our connection string now. Before that, first we'll need to set up our DB. You can either make use of Visual Studio SQL Server Object Explorer to connect to your database, or you can also make use of SSMS, that is SQL Server Management Studio. So whichever tool that you use will work the same way. Yeah, it's just the tool that you use, but the connection string will remain the same. Okay, I'm going to make use of this project models. Okay, and if you want to know how did I get this SQL Server Object Explorer, make sure you have this payload installed while installing the Visual Studio. Let me show you that payload. If at all you are working directly on Visual Studio, yeah, make sure this data storage and processing is installed. Okay. Then you'll be able to connect to your local SQL or even the Azure SQL right from your Visual Studio. All right. So once you have that payload installed, and how to view this, you can click on View and select SQL Server Object Explorer, and it will come on the left hand side. You can pin it or you can hide it. Yeah. So you will be automatically be seeing your local SQL DB servers. You can pick one of them, or if you already have one of them, just right click on the database, add a new database. I'm going to name this as WhatsApp DB and OK. And there we have our WhatsApp DB. Now to get the connection string, what I'll do, before getting the connection string, Let's connect to this database, or before that, let's add some tables into it. And what is the best details we can get it from database for the WhatsApp chatbot? I'm thinking of, let's say, we want to retrieve the user details using their ID. Okay, this is one of the implementation. Let's do it. And I'm going to create an employee table. Let's create that. Create table employee. Okay, this is just a basic syntax, and I'm going to change this to primary key, like add a primary key constraint. Name, we do not need salary, just the name is more than enough. And we do not need department ID, we can keep it as department name. And this can be varchar. Okay, and let's create a simple table. Command successfully executed, and we can see the tables created under my database and tables. And there we have the employee table created. You can also see the columns it contains: ID, name, department name. Now let's insert some records to this table. Okay. Okay. I have these 5 employees that I'll be just putting them to the my table. Okay. All right. So now let's see our records by querying this table. Okay, we are not getting it. Let's run this again. And let me see what was the error it was showing. Okay, it's terminated. How can I increase the size of this one? Okay, here it is. Okay, what is the message? Storing or binary data would be truncated in the table column depart truncated value I. Okay, let me just drop the table and recreate with a specific varchar value. Okay, that will be much better. Let's say 10, or let's keep it 20. Let me drop table and let me recreate it. And also let me run this query to store the data. And there we have one row affected, one row affected. That means some records have been inserted. Let's query it, and there we see it. Okay. The screen size is not that good. Let me show you here. Now you can see the records. The good feature of Visual Studio is you can modify the records in real time or add the records. So for example, let me add a new entry. I did not, okay, let me give 6 and Joel marketing. Okay. And we have now 6 records in our table. Okay. So that is all. We have created a sample table, inserted few records. Now we want to query this or connect this table and the database to our application. How we can get started with? We can make use of entity framework scaffolding. I have already created a blog long time back. Let me make use of that. Yes, this is the one. This is the exact same procedure that we will be following. I have also mentioned both ways using the Visual Studio Data Storage and Processing toolset or using the SQL Server Management Studio. We have covered both of them. And yeah, so let me scroll down. Yes, now to scaffold, basically we will be connecting our SQL DB to our application using this scaffolding. It's a reverse engineering process. So whichever tables I have in the database, that will be converted to model classes in my application. And whatever columns I have, that will be converted to properties in my model classes. So I need to install these three NuGet packages. Let me copy it and install it in the application dependencies. I'll install the latest version. Next is Entity Framework Core Tools. This I'll not install as of now. That is not required as of now. Yeah, this is the scaffold command that I'll be making use of. I have copy pasted that scaffold command into my notepad and I'm going to modify few fields. The data source, this is the server name. Go to your Visual Studio or your SQL Server Management Studio. Just right click on your server, click on properties. And on the right bottom corner, you will see the connection string. Okay. From the connection string, let me copy paste the whole connection string first. Yeah. And this is my DB server. I'll copy paste this here. Most of the time it will be SQL Server DB like this one, MS SQL DB. But sometimes it is project models, as in my case. Catalog is the database name that you want to connect to. This is my WhatsApp DB. And these are the two main parameters that are required in scaffold inside my connection string. If you at all you're connecting directly to Azure SQL DB or any database that is password protected or which has username or password, even those will be part of this scaffold command. Okay, now let me copy paste this command and run it in my project. So where you can run this, you can run it on the package manager console. How you can get this window? Go to tools, go to NuGet package manager and click on package manager console. Before running it, make sure you select the right project that you want to run this command on. If at all you have multiple projects in your solution, make sure you select the right project in your drop down. Currently we have only one, so it is just showing me one project. Let me copy paste that command And yeah, this is the output directory miss where your model classes will be generated. So this is the folder name that will be created in my solution project. Let me enter. It will start the build, connect to my database, create a models folder, and create some model classes. Okay. So this is a DB context class that it has created. And if I go to models, and this is the model class employee. And these are the three columns I have in my table, right? Okay, so this seems to be fine. The next part is you will find that the connection string is hard coded in the DB context class. We do not want to hard code that. So let's copy this connection string and paste it here. We have left that field empty, right? So this is a place you need to paste it. Okay. Let me save this query for you to try it out into this project. Okay. I have saved that query as part of this solution. Okay. Next, since we copied that, we can get rid of this connection string and also this warning. Now we need to read our connection string from our app settings.development file, or you can say configuration file. To do that, we can initialize iConfiguration to read our app settings connection string. So let's say iConfiguration, and let's initialize that. Now I can just replace this string with my configuration dot get connection string. And what is the name of my connection string? It is WhatsApp DB. Okay, you can cross verify from here. WhatsApp DB. Okay, this seems to be fine. Now I can just make use of this WhatsApp DB context from my WhatsApp controller. Okay, so to make use of that, how I can get it started with? Okay, I have my DB context properties here. I can just pass on the configuration to my WhatsApp DB context so that it initializes that connection string and connects to my DB. So at this place, I want to get some data from my DB. You can also create a service class and yeah, get the data from there. But I'll just call from the same method. Okay, I'm just getting the employee name from DB. Yeah. So e.id. So I'll get it from based on the ID dot toString. Okay. Sorry, not this one. That will already be in string e.id.toString. Okay. So I'm just checking. If ID is equals to the incoming text message, then get the record. And here I'm going to show that employee dot name. And I can also show the department name as well. Employee dot department name. Okay. This is a very simple use case of reading the data from the database. You can also make use of insert queries, update queries. Yeah, but this is the starting point. All right, so that is all that is required here. I just need to replace this API token with my project application in the Meta developer. So let's create a new application. So this is a business application. I'm just naming this as WhatsApp DB bot. Next, integrate with WhatsApp setup. Get started. Copy the temporary access token. Paste it here. And that is all we needed. Before that, let me verify my webhook by giving this hello from JD. Before that, let me run the application. So it is running on port number 7252. My port number is 7252. Now let me rerun this one. Copy the ngrok URL, paste it again here, and verify and save. Yeah, it's verified. Now let's configure the webhook fields. We need to check or subscribe to messages and done. That is all is required here. Now, now let me share my screen and show you how it is working on the WhatsApp. Initially, let me say a number to the bot. Let's say 1. And there we have the details. Let's ask for second. Let's ask for the third guy, fourth, fifth, sixth. Perfect. Since we haven't configured the error logging, like if the employee is not found, reply with some custom text. For now, it will not reply anything because there is no employee and we haven't configured that implementation yet. So that is all. You can also configure that details in your chatbot. Let me do that right away so that it will be helpful for you. Here we are just going to give a condition. If employee is not equals to null, then get the employee, else employee not found. Okay, this will work. Let's now ask the first employee again. Now let's ask some random employee. There you see employee not found. Yes, that is all. That is all is required. Thanks everyone.